Today's video will be about an Optiplex GX1 that I'm currently working on. This system is configured with a 450 MHz Pentium 3 and a 40 GB Maxtor hard drive. The onboard video is supplied by ATI and is an ATI Rage 128, I believe, integrated chip with 4 MB of VRAM base that is expandable up to a theoretical, I actually do not know what the theoretical expandability limit is, but it can be expanded by using a RAM stick such as this. This one, last time I checked, I believe, was not wanting to focus. Is a 4 MB chip, I think. I used to run this system with 8 MB of video RAM. It is capable of playing Quake and really any early 90s 3D based games. What I am currently doing is I am configuring it for a base install of MS-DOS 6.2 and installing CD-ROM drivers, because this is equipped with a unknown speed CD-ROM. Actually, let me turn it back on. My next step will be taking this Universal Boot Diskette for Windows 95 and using that to install drivers. Prior to doing this video, I had done that, but I used the wrong diskette, so it has the wrong driver. So instead of deleting the drivers, I thought it would be fun to delete every single thing on the hard drive. I had forgotten to change to the subdirectory before doing delete star.star. So it deleted command.com and everything else. But we're now back in business. So without further ado, I will insert the boot diskette, reset the computer, and let that boot into the floppy. Incidentally, the CPU, which is a Pentium it's a Pentium 3 there we go. It's a Pentium 3 450. But I believe this motherboard can overclock it to 500 megahertz. Because if you can see down here, there are some jumpers which denote what megahertz it can run at. There we go. So we have 500, 450, 400, 350, 333, 300, 266, etc. So let's see. Install CD-ROM drivers. interesting. I need to change what the CD-ROM driver default is. This isn't exactly going as planned. The old floppy drive down there, you can see, I guess the actual floppy drive died, so I pulled an old Gateway, I think, or a newer generation Dell floppy drive, and I pulled the bezel off, and I'm inspecting it, and I think it'll work. It's just that the plastic dust flap here, which came on the other one, doesn't seem to match up with this one. Doesn't want to cooperate when maybe when installing. So I don't know, I'll have to look at it some more. After much trial and tribulation, I finally got the system properly configured. Fingers crossed. Because as soon as I say that, something's going to break. So what had happened was, in order to have an optical drive with this system and a CD-ROM drive, you need to have both of them set to cable select. So what had happened before was I had first swapped these two IDE cables, and then the optical was recognized. Well, that's great and all, but I still need a hard drive, so I swapped them back, and then nothing was recognized. Then I set the CD-ROM to cable select, and then it was recognized. Prior, it had been set as slave, and hard drive had been set as master. So then I set the hard drive as cable select, and it then was able to boot and have the CD-ROM drive recognized. Whether or not it will work will be seen. And it does. So it now recognizes it and reads off it. One little technicality with this is, and the top comes off, is I had to replace the floppy drive because the old one had died. Well, the new one which I put in only is able to read single density 1.44 megabyte diskettes, so it can't read double density. So I was trying to figure out why one of my boot disks wasn't booting. It was giving an error. So I first thought that the boot disk was dead, but it wasn't. So further investigation found that the newer one, the newer diskette drive, can only support single density, to my knowledge, because it didn't boot the other one. So, yeah. I didn't want to do that.